Hello and welcome to the Matthew Allton Art channel. If you're new here, welcome aboard. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you're a subscriber, then welcome back. Today I'm going to do something slightly different. I don't think I've done a pen and wash sketch since I started the channel. It's something that I've dabbled at in the past, but not for a long time. So I'm just going to use black drawing pens. These are from W.H. Smith's in the UK. Different thicknesses there, and I'm going to use gouache paint for the wash. I'm using a reference from Charterhouse in Coventry, which is a priory. So it's a medieval building in the corner of the priory grounds that's been fairly newly restored. So let's see how we get on. Well, I'm starting by drawing out this painting because I'm not used to doing architecture, and I think it's important to get the perspective as good as I can. So I started with the roof line there and tried to gauge the angle looking at the photograph of the roof. So you're sort of looking up at it, so that's why the roof is so angular there. As you'll see in the final painting, I'm not sure I actually get the perspective perfectly right, really, to be honest. But, you know, I'm not used to doing architecture. This is about practice and learning. So hopefully I'll improve the next one that I do. There are three sort of archways, Gothic archways, Gothic looking. They've got pointy curves on them, and two on the other side. This building is actually the Apple store for the old priory, apparently. As I'm sort of corner onto this building, you can sort of see that the perspective is already a little bit out, in that the left-hand wall sort of recedes more than the right-hand wall. But as I said, I'm learning. It's not a normal subject for me. That's why I picked these subjects for the patrons on the Patreon, really. Stuff that we're not familiar with doing is good. Just indicating the sort of bricks here. They're not bricks, they're big blocks of stone, in fact, on the wall and the building itself. Okay, now I'm back onto the painting, and I've wet the sky area with just plain water, and I've put ultramarine blue, a wash of ultramarine blue on that. And then I'm just using a dry tissue to pull out some of that blue to make the clouds. I think overall that's quite a successful technique for soft clouds. There's a sunlit side to this, which is what I'm starting here, so that it's quite a bright yellow at the moment. But that, of course, will be dulled down as I add the layers to this painting. With gouache, I'm very much building up with thin washes, so a bit watercolour-like, really, to be honest. I've put the shadow under the roof there, and the shadow under the three arches on the sunlit side. And now doing the same with the arches on the shaded side. And now I'm putting the interior darkness in. There is some darkness that you can just see. Now adding the colour to the base colour to the shaded side. and the shade under the roof eaves. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, this isn't going very well and it looks very flat and boring. And when you're painting, very often you end up with an ugly stage. It's called the ugly stage, where you sort of almost want to give up on what you're doing. But the trick is to keep going. And overall, at the end of this, I'm actually quite happy with the final result. It's not exactly in right perspective. That sort of plays with you a bit, really. But it's overall not too bad. You can see now I'm putting using a flat water-filled brush here, and I'm adding darker blocks for the blocks of stone. I'm not being particularly perfect about these. I'm not trying to do a photorealistic impression of this building, so I'm varying the colour slightly, and it's red sandstone that this is made out of, this building. So I'm varying the tones of the blocks that I'm adding, and I'll add blocks on top of blocks, so it builds up the variation of the stones that are there. Trying to tighten up that top window. There's a little chink of light that's coming in to that second arch on the left of the building, and it's coming from the upstairs window. It's a bit bright at the moment. I think I'll tone it down a little in a while. You can see how I'm adding those blocks lightly on the sunlit side. Obviously you don't want to make them too dark on the sunlit side, otherwise you dull down and lose the effect of the light on one side of the building. Now putting in the sort of shale path around it, and then there's a corner of the lawn there as well, with the corner cut out in a circle. Trying to indicate the shadow there behind the building. Now just putting a green wash on to place the lawn. I'll refine that shortly. It's just to cover the white of the paper as much as anything else. I'm trying there to add some texture to the gravelly type path, but it wouldn't work for some reason. I've tried to be a bit experimental when I've done gouache recently and done some splashing and flicking and that sort of thing, but it wouldn't seem to come off the brush. Now there's some trees in the behind the wall, because this is in the corner of two old stone walls, this building. There's a bit of ivy climbing up the building on the right hand side of it. Trying to make the green of the trees beyond the wall a little sort of bluey green to indicate that they're in the distance to a certain extent. Back to the building, and again just refining some of the blocks, adding extra tone, because I've mentioned before in the videos, when you add gouache to the paper and it's wet, it actually dries much paler, so it's sometimes difficult, and you end up having to go over twice to get the sort of depth of colour that you want. Yeah, the board was drifting away from me as I was painting, so I must have been pressing on quite hard, but I've moved it back to central again now. I'm now putting shadows under some of the bigger blocks, because of course it's quite higgledy-piggledy. It's very old, this building. So there would be shadows where some of the stones stick out further than the others. Now again, just covering the white of the paper, adding some texture to the grass in the foreground and the path as well, the gravel path. Again, using quite a big brush there, just indicating it. Doing exactly the same with this shadowed wall, which is a different coloured stone. Putting the blocks on. Now putting some shadow. There's 3 sort of blocks that form the top of the wall, angled blocks. And again, now just adding darker stone over the top of the ones that I've added already. This right hand wall with the ivy growing over the top is again sandstone, so it's the same stone as the actual apple store itself. Putting some shadows on under the ivy now, and then just shadows at the bottom of the blocks. Just adding a bit more detail to those trees in the background, some branches and trunks visible. Just lightening up some of those blocks on the left hand wall. And that's it done. Well, this is the final painting. Overall, there are things I like about it and things I don't like about it. The sky was quite successful and done very quickly, so that's a good technique for getting very pale clouds in a blue sky. Just using a wet wash and then pulling out some of that colour with tissue. I think the lighting on it is quite nice, so that you definitely get the sense of the light coming from the top right of this painting. And the blocks are quite nicely painted as well. I think I've indicated the sort of old weathered sandstone quite nicely on these. But as I said before, the perspective is slightly out on it, and it annoys me somehow. And I can't really see what's wrong with it. I can see that the upper window on the left is too high for a start, because they were at the same height, so I should have pulled that down probably a centimetre really to make it look more accurate. And it's also the appearance of the building as a whole is that it's taller than it is in real life. It's quite a low squat building in real life. But you know, I'm being picky. It's considering I don't do architecture and considering I don't very often do landscapes in gouache, I'm quite pleased with it. Those of you who are eagle-eyed will of course seen that I haven't used the pen on this. What I was going to do is sort of put the washes on and then add some definition using the pen, and then maybe coming in and putting some washes over the top. But as I was going with this painting, I actually quite liked the way that it was turning out, and there was enough definition in terms of the blocks and that sort of thing anyway. So I didn't add the pen to this. So it started out as a pen and gouache wash and ended up as just a gouache painting instead. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video. Do give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. It really helps the channel out. And if you are new here, then please consider subscribing. I do all sorts of videos on my channel. A lot of time-lapse demos like these, but I'm starting to try and put other stuff about what it's like to be an artist starting out and trying to make a bit of money doing that. So if you would like to subscribe, then please do. It'll help me out a great deal. Okay, I'll put links to the materials that I used in the description. The gouache paints, the Arteza gouache paints. I think they're really quite good. They're quite opaque when you need them to be, although I tend to use them quite transparently, as you've seen in this. Okay then, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.